Hey there. For you guys who don't know me, I'm Trey. I'm with the Louisiana Kayak Fishing Forecast channel. With this video series, my job is to keep Louisiana kayak anglers who fish weekends out of poor fishing locations. If you're already in our Facebook group, you don't need to watch this video. This is just a quick location report for anglers who aren't in the group. So group members, I released the full forecast for you guys just a little while ago, so head to the group. There's a lot more detail and reasoning for you there. All right, so for you guys who are going to stick around, this is the second DUD report I've shared here on YouTube. First was last week, but the DUD report has been going strong in the Louisiana Kayak Fishing Forecast group for close to 70 weeks now. 70 weeks, that's a long time. I've been keeping local Louisiana kayak anglers out of places where they should not be. Every weekend, or every day, these things change. But being that a lot of locals only fish weekends, I'm covering just the weekends. The word DUD is an acronym for Don't You Dare. So don't you dare fish the locations in any of these weekly reports that I am sharing with you guys. These places are the worst of the worst locations each weekend. Some change from week to week, while others have such long-term effects from environmental conditions that they're on the report for weeks. We have a couple places in two regions that are like that. Couple areas, really big, large areas that are like that. Either way, this report is going to keep you from wasting your time, gas, and money heading to one of these locations. In this report, I really don't get into a lot of detail, but you will know where you shouldn't be headed. So if that's something that you're interested in knowing every week so that you don't make mistakes, make sure you subscribe to the channel. This series is just one of many things that I'll be bringing to you guys. And if you find this super useful, you want more information, or you want to know like the better locations, the best spots to fish every weekend, that's something that I detail in our full forecast, our full Louisiana kayak fishing forecast every week for anglers fishing Louisiana. I just did that, just released this week's locations. This week is a monster. There's so many places that won't fish that great this week that it made it easy for me to pick out these locations, the good locations in every region along the coast for the people in the group. So if you're struggling to catch fish, you're out there wanting to know where you should be and where to be around feeding fish, the forecast is what you need, our full forecast. So with that forecast, I divided the entire coast of Louisiana into 3 regions, and so yeah, you have access, or info I should say, to the entire coast. No matter where you fish, good spots are in that forecast. I'm going to say it again later, but if you're interested in checking out the forecast, you can head over to lkffgroup.com and you can gain access there. All right, so as far as the DUD report this week, we're going to start with the eastern region. This is from Venice, Louisiana, over to or up to Lake Pontchartrain and east to the Mississippi state line. In this region, Lake Pontchartrain has made the report this week. This includes the shoreline on the North Shore, the Wrigley's, the Twin Spans, the Highway 11 Bridge, and Irish Bayou. All of these areas are areas where local Louisiana kayak anglers who live around the lake or don't live too far from the lake, these are places that they like to fish. If you're one of these anglers, a lot of times what you're looking for in the forecast are low winds and good weather. And that's what is in the forecast this weekend. 5 to 10 mile per hour winds and low chances of rain so far for this area of the region. This week, it's going to be tricky for a lot of anglers. A lot of anglers are going to end up on the lake and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to do good at all. So I'm coming to you this week with this Eastern region report to let you know to not go to Lake Pontchartrain. You're going to want to go somewhere else. The reason, I'll get into it a little bit. The reason is because Lake Pontchartrain is fresh and it'll be a while before it turns around to where you'll be able to catch some really good fish over there. All right, so we're going to move into the central region. The central region is from Houma, Louisiana, over to, or over through Grand Isle, over to Port Fourchon, and up to Cutoff, Louisiana. These next 3 locations have been plagued by freshwater runoff that occurred weeks ago. This is what I was kind of explaining in the intro, where there are some areas that are affected by short-term conditions, environmental conditions, and others that remain on this list for weeks and weeks and weeks because the conditions have been so bad in these areas that the areas haven't been able to turn around and get salty or whatever it is that is a negative effect. It hasn't been able to turn that negative effect around to promote really good fishing and drive the fish back into the area. So these 3 locations in the central region are Golden Meadow, Galliano, and Cutoff. But it's not the entire Golden Meadow, Galliano, and Cutoff areas. This is just the areas that are east of LA 3225. So if you're eyeing those areas over there, stay away and you'll be all right to fish other areas in the central region. There are some others that won't do well. There's a timing issue over there in the central region as well, but I've covered all this in the report. So if you're in the group and you're somehow still watching this, head to the group. You've got the info. All right, the last and final region is going to be the western region. This is from Pecan Island, Louisiana, to the Texas state line and north to Lake Calcasieu. Same thing with, I just mentioned one area in the central region where there's been some water issues for a while. Same thing here in the western region. Western region, Lake Charles and Preen Lake are the locations that have made the list last week and many weeks prior. The members that are in our Facebook group have been out of these areas for weeks. They haven't fished these areas at all because I've been telling them, stay out, stay out, stay out. And they've been going other places. The last couple of weeks, we've had a couple anglers sharing some really good reports. Last week, we had 2 guys put together a really nice limit of reds. The biggest red in that report was 26 3/4 inches because they went somewhere that I suggested. So yeah, they're getting it done. They're getting it done. But yeah, in the western region, don't even think about fishing Lake Charles or Preen Lake. It's just too fresh up that way right now. And in the future, sometime it will change. But as of right now, if you have been fishing those areas, stop fishing those areas. The reason why you haven't been catching fish in these areas is because it's just too fresh. Other areas to avoid this weekend in the western region, there's one more, or not one more, but there's a group. It's going to be the backwater areas on the northern end of Lake Calcasieu. These bayous will not have good water movement this weekend, so if any fish are caught, they'll be very small. But if you do catch them, you might catch 1 or 2, and if you catch 2, you're going to catch one probably right around the time you get there. You're going to go some hours before you catch that second one, and that's all you're going to catch. You might just catch one, or you might get out there and not catch anything. That's what kind of day it's going to be this weekend in these backwater areas. So if you're wanting to know where the best weekend locations will be, you need to join our Facebook group. In the group, I provide the best locations all along the coast and tell our group members the time of day they need to be there to be amongst feeding fish. So I tell them the best window of opportunity for every day. That is so important because even if you have the location right, you can just be there at the wrong time. You can make 100 casts in 3 to 4 hours when the water is not moving great or something else is going on. And right when you leave is when the fish are getting ready to turn on. I fish with people like that, who plan the trip, and I decide to stay out later because I know I just need to wait until this time. And they've left, and then I start hammering the fish. So, yeah, that's something that could happen, out there. But if you're wanting to be amongst those feeding fish, you need to join our group, definitely. With the full forecast, you'll know exactly where to stay away from and why. You'll be able to choose between the best locations to fish each weekend. You'll know which times to fish. The fish will be feeding in these areas. And other info like how you should fish these locations. It's just not a, hey, go here kind of thing. I give a lot of information. I talk for about an hour. This weekend I think I talked a little bit more, but all of it is very helpful info. With the forecast, you could be facing a weekend like this weekend where one region will fish good and the other two regions will have a handful of locations where anglers will have, you know, some pretty good success. Or to top that off, the fish in a lot of locations will only feed for a few hours at best this weekend. That's what's going to happen. Outside of that one region that's going to fish really good. Our group members, they won't be in any of these other locations, any of these bad locations. I've just shared the locations all along the coast where the fish will be feeding. That's what I provide every Friday to prepare Louisiana kayak anglers for the weekend ahead. To gain access to the Louisiana Kayak Fishing Forecast, our full forecast, visit lkffgroup.com. And hopefully I'll see you on the other side. See you guys next week. If you just want to keep tuning in for this this DUD report, that's fine too. I'll be coming every week to help you guys out. That's just what I like to do. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you know when on Friday when I deliver this DUD report. You guys take care, be safe out there if you get out in the water, and I will see you soon.